Thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to participate in this very significant event. My only wish is that there will be a continuation because already there are important messages coming out of this meeting. For instance, regarding the Audit Commission, and it seems that it's a very important document. My idea regarding Cyprus is to try to analyze this document and present it, and in this way begin to forge more close relations with the action coming from Greece to other countries of the European periphery. I will talk about Cyprus, the Cyprus economic crisis. Cyprus is a small country, but it has gained significance and prominence much more than its size as a result of the decision of the Troika to impose an extreme version of neoliberal policies in Cyprus in 2013 through the restructuring of the banking sector, which involved bail-in or the haircut of deposits. This was a unique phenomenon in recent economic history, I suppose. Mr. Kasimadis has talked about issues of illegality arising out of the diminution of the value of public assets regarding privatizations. Mr. Kostandakopoulos has added that we also have to take into consideration issues of illegality regarding private property, for instance, due to higher taxation, which is not used to enhance the welfare state, but it is used to repay the debt. So you can imagine the kind of issues of illegality arising in the case of Cyprus when bank deposits are being confiscated in order to support the banking system, in order to preserve the economic system, the capitalist system in Cyprus in a very specific way. This by way of introduction. I will talk about 3 or 4 different small sections, and I will try to be short in order to keep with the timing. Firstly, this idea which is now prevailing that after the memorandum policies, the economic situation in Cyprus has stabilized, even normalized, even entered what can be termed as a success story, which I believe is completely false. It's not based on reality foundations. I will then talk briefly about the real causes of the economic crisis in Cyprus, and subsequently I will briefly analyze the consequences of memorandum policies, and finally I will try to relate the economic crisis in Cyprus with the wider issues arising from structural imbalances in the Eurozone. Okay, I mean the government line regarding the economic crisis in Cyprus and 2 years after the memorandum policies is that the economic situation has stabilized and the economy is even heading for a growth phase. Secondly, that the fiscal situation has been sorted out. We are in a situation of fiscal balances positive regarding the primary surplus. The banking sector has stabilized, and it's proceeding in a very adequate way. Moreover, the economic situation in Cyprus is being praised by the EU institutions, by the International Monetary Fund, by the rating agencies. I think they're trying to present the treatment we got in Cyprus through the memorandum policies as a success story, and we add it to analogous presentations regarding Ireland, Portugal, etc. Now, what is the reality? The reality is that after 2 years of neoliberal policies in Cyprus, we have a cumulative fall in GDP by more than 12%. We have unemployment ranging around 16%. We have a balanced budget, this is true, but this has been achieved at great expense and cost to working people through cuts in wages, cuts in pensions, and a diminution of the welfare system in Cyprus. We also have a banking sector which, contrary to the propositions made by the government and the EU authorities, is in a very unstable situation. What are known as the non-performing loans in the banking sector in Cyprus exceed 50%, which gives an idea of the kind of banking system we have. There is a constant fall in deposits, and there is no credit provision to the Cyprus economy at all. And this situation regarding the banking sector is likely to continue in the future as well. So the kind of approach adopted by the EU authorities has not succeeded in addressing the real issues of the Cyprus economy, and it has given rise to a situation where prospects of economic development are practically non-existent. The construction sector has gone through a property boom, which is continuously showing its effects. The service sector is facing big problems because of the banking crisis in Cyprus. The tourist sector in Cyprus has been stable for a number of years. It cannot provide any basis for a future economic development. And the industrial sector has been hit really hard with falls in output during the recent years around 50%. So in Cyprus, you can say that it is a case where the Troika policies has been adopted and implemented fully and to the last detail. What we have now is, on the level of appearances, a situation that the economy has stabilized and that it's even entering a growth phase. But the truth is very different, I believe. The banking sector is on a very unstable footing. There are no prospects for growth, and what is coming is even more disturbing and terrifying. The issues which are in the headlines these days is firstly the privatization of public services, and I can say that they are profitable public services, well-functioning public services, may be in need of modernization. And the other issue arising is the issue of foreclosures. The confiscation of properties in Cyprus, even the main home, and also related to that is the parcelization of loans and the ability to sell loans to foreign investment funds. So we have a complete restructuring of the Cyprus economy along neoliberal lines. We have adopted the Troika policies fully and completely, and it has not addressed the real issues which has given rise to the economic crisis, and therefore we have to be involved with what is happening in Greece regarding the resistance to Troika policies, and we have to be involved with the European issues arising. Before going to the causes of the crisis, I could briefly mention that the crisis gives rise to cost and it gives rise to benefits. We have a situation where the national capital in Cyprus has benefited greatly through lower wages, an increase in profitability, and the limited increases in taxation. Foreign capital in Cyprus has benefited through privatizations, through the purchase of the bulk of the shares of the banking sector, and subsequently now with the parcelization and the prospect of buying bank loans through investment funds. The working people in Cyprus has suffered through wage reductions, through high unemployment, and the small and medium enterprises have suffered the closure of businesses through a huge lack of aggregate demand in Cyprus, and depositors have had to bear the great burden of the bail-in approach. What are the main causes of the crisis in Cyprus? I think we have to look this issue historically. Cyprus, after 1974, has gone through a period of rapid expansion and a high level of industrial development. However, this has changed in the early 1980s, and Cyprus has gone through a period of rapid deindustrialization, so that from 18% contribution of industry to GDP, it has fallen now to around 5 or 6. Cyprus has based its development on the tourist sector, but there were natural limits to this approach. However, the real crucial issue in the last 10 years or so has been the process of financialization of the Cyprus economy, the overdeveloped banking sector, and this has taken place through a deliberate policy of the government to have a corporate tax of 10% around the early 2000s, which has prompted huge capital inflows, especially from Russian capital, and this has given rise to an increase a huge increase of the banking sector, and therefore the banking crisis that we have seen. Okay, I will close. I have mentioned that the memorandum policies have been completely unsuccessful. I will close by linking the Cyprus case with the structural problems of the Eurozone economy. The Eurozone economy is based on a division between the core economies, the industrialized developed economies, which are also the surplus countries in terms of current account surpluses, and the peripheral economies of Europe, which lack in industrial development, and therefore this gives rise to the deficits that we have seen. Therefore, we have had a huge capital inflow in the peripheral economies, and therefore, this process has given rise to the various imbalances in Greece through the public sector and through the property booms we have seen in Ireland and so on. This is the same process that Cyprus had to go through because of the real structural weaknesses of its economy in terms of its industrial structure. Therefore, my urge is that we have to see the process of the structural imbalances of the European economy, not only in terms of financial issues, debt, etc., but also regarding the industrial structure. We have a situation where the European center is overdeveloped in terms of industrial development, and we have the deindustrialization of the European periphery. We need a new industrial division of labor where the national economies institute programs of productive reconstruction based on industrial policies, and these have to be coordinated so as to have a more balanced and redress the issue of uneven development in Europe. I think.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pantelides, for this proposal, which is going also really to the crux of the matter.